All right, it's time now for the Visa game-changing moment presented by Visa, proud sponsor of Super Bowl 57. The game changer today was Andy Reid, in my opinion. I mean, just so many little wrinkles, levers that made this thing easier on his quarterback, on his offense. And where do you even want to start with some of the things that the Chiefs threw out there today?
It's kind of nice because the Chiefs didn't actually run that many plays. So since the Chiefs didn't run that many plays, you kind of remember some of the good ones. The second half, when they came out and how the diversity of the run game from the Chiefs in the second half was like, oh man, they're feeling it. They know exactly what they're going to like in the second half, how they attack the Eagles defense. Sorry, there's somebody behind us, everybody.
We're good.
But in the first half, seeing all the jet motion and the short motion, me and you right away, it was so apparent that the Chiefs were they're poking at stuff. They were testing the cage, the Velociraptor cage. They were testing this jet motion, the short motions, and then the plays off of that came in later in the game. And I mean, the epitome of that is the Toney touchdown, the Skyy Moore touchdown. Yeah, because that was set up throughout the entire game. And then they got it in the perfect opportunities right there in the low red zone.
It was Kelsey early, right? So they were setting things up for Kelsey early. And I'm looking at this without a ton of notes because we have one computer here. It's a little different than our normal setup. But
I've handwritten notes, everybody.
So the way that I remember it is there was the play early in the first half where they were in I believe, a 2-by-2 formation. They ran a jet motion, and then Kelsey ran a crosser, just like a big crosser, and the Eagles lost it. Yeah, it was a big completion on a crosser. Then on the same drive, they motioned into a short motion into a stack, and that was the Kelsey touchdown. It was a little out and up sort of wheel. They put him in a stack. Epps had to play off of him. Kelsey chews up that space, leaves him one-on-one touchdown. Later in the first half, another play where the jet motion from a 2-by-2 formation, they leave Kelsey as the single receiver on the left side. He fakes the big over and then takes it back across, and TJ Edwards is just lost. Yeah. So consistently, they're using either jet motion to change whether it's 2-by-2, 3-by-1, or a lot of short motion consistently in that game where they're motioning into stacks. They're changing who's the number 1 receiver, who's the number 2 receiver
on that side
very quickly before the play. And just, again, almost every single play, it felt like, using either a kind of big grand motion to get something done or something subtler to just kind of play with the rules of that Eagles defense, which they clearly were very in tune with. Very in tune.
They had you should watch in this game. Anyone want to rewatches it back or sees it on NFL Network in 2 or 3 years, when you rewatch it, you'll see how many times Mahomes is killing plays and going, we're good, which they always do. But there was a whole lot of it in this game because they were going, are you man? You in zone? Okay, we're doing this to beat that play or beat that coverage. And they did it time and time again. The jet motions on top of it, they were doing split zone, which is where a tight end crosses the formation to kick out the DN. All this, I think everybody and their mother knows what the weakness, the one kind of sort of weakness of this Eagles defense is the linebackers. And how do you influence them? All right, let's cross their face, make them communicate, make them pass stuff off. Oh, wow. When formations change, formation strengths change, some defenses have a check. If it's a trips call or if it's a 2-by-2 call, if it's a pro formation call. So when you're doing it, all those jet motions, all those Kelsey motions, that's what they're doing. They're making them communicate. And I saw the Chiefs were breaking the huddle very early, like 26 seconds, 27, because they wanted to get in and see what the Eagles were, and then get to the play that they wanted to do. But the run game was amazing. That first drive of the second half, I think they ran 5 different run concepts, and we've talked about how the Eagles will spam just one concept, so it's pretty cool to watch a run game without using the quarterback in the design rushes. They're running trap. They're running wind back. They're using the pony personnel on the touchdown to Pacheco. Just really, really good stuff. All kind of playing off stuff they've shown before, stuff that's their bread and butter, but then the change-ups off of it.
So you mentioned the split zone, the jet motion with the split zone, that chunk run for Pacheco on the first Chiefs drive, that's what that was.
Yes.
And then you mentioned just all of the different designs that they were using in the second half. Look at the numbers. The Chiefs averaged 0.24 EPA per rush on running back runs in this game. 19 carries for 110 yards, 52.6% success rate, 2.5 yards before contact per rush. I mean, that's
a real good day on the ground.
I think the Eagles on the season averaged 0.12 EPA per rush. Yeah. So that's twice what the Eagles did, and they were the most efficient running team in the NFL. That's what the Chiefs.
What was the success rate? It was 57%, 52.6%.
Yeah. Yep.
So Eagles hovered around 50% this year. And we've mentioned it a million times. They were one of the best run offenses in the last 20 years. And the use of personnel, we kind of figured that was kind of one of the things I figured that Andy Reid would get to, because getting into heavier personnel groupings on offense, using 2 or 3 tight ends, kind of can make the Eagles defense a little more basic. Also, you can kind of make them more predictable. And you can see that just playing to Andy Reid's wheelhouse. The 3rd and 1 big run to Pacheco at the end. This is one that you had to cut me off. You had to slow me down on. So the 3rd and 1 at the end. So Pacheco gets it. The fullback's name, Bolton. Chiefs. Yeah, Burton. Yeah. So Burton, the Chiefs do this all the time. You'll see Burton get 1 carry like every 2 or 3 weeks, and it's always in a short yard situation where they have him as an up back. They do some window dressing in the back, and then they hand it off on a little dive play on the inside. So they looked like that. You can see all the Eagles players getting tight, and they're like, "Oh, this is it. We know what's coming here." They've already used their change-ups and their funky stuff. Instead, they had Burton seal the edge, and then they kicked it outside. And that's why Pacheco was able to just gash him on the outside. There's nobody out there for him. It's essentially what the Eagles do on their sneak plays when they do the little pitch off of it. That's basically what they did. It's a Chiefs version of that. But that's the run game. Andy Reid's known as like the passing game college concept wizard.
But that was the difference with this team.
Yes.
That's
the story of the Chiefs season.
What are the key tweaks with this Chiefs team?
Yeah.
It's Orlando Brown pulling. It's Trey Smith pulled on the touchdown when they were in pony personnel, which we can talk about in a second.
Yeah.
It's all of those gap scheme runs that we thought they might incorporate last year that we can bludgeon you with a hammer version of the Chiefs. It came a year later than we expected, but it came at the exact right time because it allows them to be this version of that team in this moment against a team built like the Eagles.
Yes.
This felt like something we talked about so much last season, where can you win in different ways? Can you be a team that runs when you need to run? And the Chiefs couldn't really do that. It was all RPOs in that game against the Bengals. And you've talked about this a lot. When they're giving it to you, can you just hammer it over and over and over again? And that first drive of the second half was exactly that.
Yes.
But when you're talking about the Chiefs, you're still going to have the second makes our brains pop a little bit. And both of those red zone touchdowns were the perfect example.
That's awesome.
So I think there was a little bit of chatter like in our row.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, well, why is he so wide open? Explain why those 2 red zone touchdowns, the one to Moore and the one to Toney, are so wide open and what the Chiefs are trying to accomplish on those plays.
So typically in zone or in man coverage, depending on what the call is, when there's a jet motion, if it's zoned, the Eagles would rock and roll their safeties, which is one safety who's in the post, comes screaming down to cover the jet guy, and the guy that was on the corner of the safety that was on that side goes to the back. But in man coverage, which was the Eagles were in down there in the low red zone, they have to pass it off. Somebody has to run with the jet sweep. Somebody. How the Eagles go about it is either the first one, the Kadarius Toney touchdown, Avonte Maddox would be running with the jet guy, and then someone would be on Travis Kelce, I believe, was on that side as well. So they're faking that they're running across, and Kadarius Toney is very, very athletic and very fast. So those guys have to haul a lot of ass. So that's what they're worried about. Oh, we don't want to get beat here. We got to go make this tackle and save a touchdown, and it ends up working against them because that would just pop right back. I just think it's just the mad genius of, I'm going to use genius here, but the mad scientist of Andy Reid is doing the exact same play with the exact same formation, but just flipping it and then using a different guy, using Skyy Moore on that one.
And I think Kelce was on that side.
Yeah.
So you're worried about, okay, is it now Kelsey's number 1 receiver and what does that mean? But on the other one, it's just Juju and Skyy Moore on that second touchdown. So what Reid, Bieniemy, the entire offensive staff, and just that little lab that they go into over these 2 weeks before this sort of game, I always love to see it. It's like, what buttons do they know they can push?
Yes.
And all kinds of those motions were exactly right.
But both of these teams, and I'll credit the Eagles here too. The second half, Devontae Smith had that wide open touchdown. These are in the NFL. It's a game of split seconds, and just, that's what the NFL game of inches is. You try compound mistakes, and the Eagles do it. They use tempo. They get a first down. You're in dime personnel. Okay, we're on tempo. Run a simple play, and we beat you. We gash you. It caused a coverage bust. What the Chiefs do is with the design stuff, they're playing off their rules. They're using the rules against them, and they're just creating this moment of tension, and it pops. And a huge moment, and it happened twice. But
you're using the communication against them.
Yes,
because
they have to do it so fast.
Are good at passing that stuff off. The Eagles are so quick to do it. This is just me talking with my hands.
Yeah,
that it's he's going. I mean, you can see the communication, and Andy Reid took the Eagles' defensive rules and snapped them over his knee in this game, and it was very, very cool to watch.
Even the one there was a little bubble pump to Juju
Oh my
Smith-Schuster
God,
down
it
the
was
wheel.
beautiful.
So
it was amazing.
The play before, Sweat gets an offside, so they call the play dead, and it was a split back look. So there's two backs on either side. They motion Juju to the flat or to the bubble, and so
they threw it to him.
And they threw it. They threw the ball,
and it was called offside.
Yeah, and they called.
So they saw them throw the bubble on that play.
Yes,
it's not like they lined up. They ran the play.
He throws it. Everything. He was about to hand it off, and he was like, "Oh shoot!" And he throws the bubble. Him being Mahomes, and they call and when they come out, they break the huddle, and they come out the exact same formation. Yep. I even said, "I go, are they really going to run the exact same play?"
Yep.
Same motion. Everyone runs this. That's why it's kind of like you can kind of tell what's about to happen. And they ran a pump off of it, like a double move off of it, and hit the wheel route to Juju.
So what they did is they still ran the screen,
yes,
but Juju was running down the left sideline, feigned blocking. Yes. We see the Eagles do this all the time. They run tons of.
I was waiting for them to run tonight.
And the fact that the Chiefs did it on the very next play is just so like.
It was awesome.